We're sitting on the edge of World War III with the civil war broken out in the Ukraine. And there's a lot of evidence. I mean, I was reading today, there's a leaked phone conversation of the neo-Nazi Western-backed government that's in power now, who's been funded by the West, with them openly admitting it. So it looks to be a Western-backed coup. The United States and Europe, the EU behind it. And now so they've taken over the capital, Kiev, and the contention now is in Crimea, where a lot of the Western American media is claiming that Russia has invaded. The Russian troops were already in Crimea. They already had a military base there. How do you invade someplace you're already occupying? You don't. They just are doing some exercises, putting a little military pressure on, and Western media is calling that an invasion. It's outright lie, the way that they're framing it. Our Secretary of State, John Kerry, is making an ass out of himself like usual, making all these wild allegations, calling Russia out for invading a sovereign country when the United States does the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
We've invaded 22 sovereign countries in the last 20 years. And so the hypocrisy of the United States Obama administration, the State Department, is it's otherworldly. The way that they're acting, like Russia's all bad and the United States is all good. Well, Russia's not good either. They are a totalitarian, suppressive state as well. But the same thing with the way the EU and the United States are handling things, inserting neo-Nazis now in charge over there. But getting all that out of the way, we don't support either side. And just like Abby Martin of Breaking the Set said, I'll say the same thing here. We don't support any sides of this war because it's all bad, right? And the main reason that the mainstream media here is not talking about is the oil pipelines that go right through Ukraine into Europe. And so that's the economic interest behind Ukraine. One of many, but one of the main ones, the energy, that the natural gas that's coming from Russia through Ukraine, through the pipelines in Ukraine to Europe. Germany is getting 36% of its natural gas from Russia. France is getting 23%, and Italy is getting 27%. So don't you think, folks, they have a vested interest in what happens in Ukraine? Stuart?
Yeah, first of all, our Secretary of State, John Kerry, the comments that he's making about basically calling Russia a bad country for invading a country that they already have a military base there right on the Black Sea, and we are currently occupying many formerly sovereign countries. So we don't have Afghanistan, Iraq. The American people, that's one thing that we are sick of. I think even though a lot of the public doesn't really know what's going on and the seriousness of what's going on, they do know that they don't have a beef with Russia. They don't have a beef with Ukraine. So how can they take sides against countries they don't have any beef with personally? I mean, 9/11 might have been, okay, yeah, you could make that argument to invade Afghanistan, but we didn't want to go to Syria. There's no interest for the American people there. We don't want to go to war with Russia or Ukraine.
We'll start World War III if we go to Russia.
Yeah, yeah, and Russia is no joke. So they
got a whole bunch of nukes.
Yeah, and we don't have the moral high ground right now. And the American people are sick of our leaders just calling out Putin, saying that he's a bad guy when our president is a bad guy. How come our troops aren't home?
Egypt has charged Obama with being an international terrorist.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just don't see how. I mean, the situation is serious, but also the situation we have here at home, which is how we're 17 trillion in debt, and basically, our economy's failing, and our president continues to tell us lies. Our Secretary of State and all our major politicians tell us lies. We don't want to go to war, and we're going to keep saying it. And there's just nothing that you can, there's no amount of CNN and MSNBC that's going to convince us that we need to hate Vladimir Putin. He hasn't done anything to me, honestly. I mean,
That's right, Stuart. The only thing that's going to get us into these foreign wars is going to be another false flag attack, because then people are going to rally around the flag, and their patriotism is going to come out, and they're going to back their country regardless, just like we saw on 9/11. And so, but like Stuart said, we don't have a dog in the fight here, the American people. We really don't in this. We need to back away from foreign entanglements, like George Washington said, and if the people in Ukraine want to have a civil war against Russia and the neo-Nazis and whoever else, let them have a civil war and fight it out and figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
We have no business there.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the bottom line of it. You got great Senator John McCain, who ran for president against Bush. What a phony rigged election that was, right?
Against Obama. He was supposed to be the opposition, right?
Oh yeah, against Obama in 2008. Yeah, what a joke that was, right? Yeah. But this joker now, this war criminal, is out there. There's photo evidence of him with the terrorists in Libya, the Al-Qaeda terrorists in Libya, with the Al-Qaeda terrorists in Syria, with the neo-Nazi terrorists in Ukraine. And so this man has gone and went and met personally with all these different U.S.-funded terrorist groups, calling them peaceful protesters.
Yeah, when they're shooting cops.
They're shooting cops. They're doing sniper assassinations against the legitimate government that's in place, whether they're corrupt or not.
Yeah.
They're still the legitimate government at that time.
Yeah. And we try to organize here and protest here. Oh, you don't have a permit. Go home.
You're not in a free speech zone.
Yeah, you're not in a free speech zone in America. We can't have protests here, but over there they can say that shooting cops is okay only because they have a vested interest there. So they're going to say, oh, they're being oppressed. You know what? That's not our beef. And many cops have been killed. And they're only doing their job. They haven't even been actively shooting people. They're getting shot. They're putting their lives on the line just to try to keep the peace. So we do not need to be involved. And for our administration right now to say that they're peaceful protesters, they're trying to get us to say, oh, we need to go help this country because they want democracy. You know what? They also want the Second Amendment too. They're not talking about that because you're trying to take our Second Amendment here. We can't try to export freedom that we don't have anymore.
That's right. It's not America's job to police the world. And China has come out and publicly backed Russia. So do we really want to start World War III?
With we owe China a couple $1 trillion. So we don't, if they're backing Russia, we should probably just stop right while we're behind.
It's really incredible, Stuart, the manipulation and corruption that goes on. George Soros, we know, is stirring up. He's publicly, his think tanks, his NGO organizations, I forget the name off the top of my head, but they're in there fomenting this revolution. There's evidence of them publicly paying. I mean, they have video and still photos of George Soros group going and paying protesters. These aren't protesters, these are terrorists. Okay, these are neo-Nazi mercenary groups, not peaceful protesters. And so, we need to back out of the Ukraine and mind our own business over there because we just keep getting embarrassed by Putin. It was Syria first, and now it's Ukraine, and it's just making the United States look like a bunch of fools to the rest of the world.
No backbone, exactly. And we shouldn't even be telling Putin what to do, to be honest. Obama said he's violating international law by what? Continuing to have a base in a country he's had a base in? And also, most of the people in Ukraine, it may not seem like it, but a lot of them are still pro-Russian. I mean, the
country's cut in half.
And half the country is pro-Russia, half may have was upset at the elected government choosing to go with Russia. But the thing is, Russia offered him a better deal. And I guess was it Viktor Yanukovych? He was Putin's guy. But, the EU's bankrupt too. So Russia really is the only option anyway. The European Union is it's like in Cyprus, they had bank holidays. They stopped letting people take money out of the bank just a year ago. I mean, the EU is not something you want to be a part of either. But either way, we're not Ukrainian. And we have no idea what's actually going on. It'd be like someone coming over here and saying, you know, in the Occupy Wall Street movement or something, or some kind of movement that we had in America, people from other countries just saying, oh, we got to go be involved with their movement. No, it's not our fight. We need to stay out of it.
But we're not going to.
Of course.
The Obama administration, last I saw, is talking about $1 billion aid package for Ukraine. We're already 17 trillion in debt here, in a depression, record unemployment, and we're going to go ahead and give $1 billion to some country to probably bribe off the people that are left over there, buy up the government. I mean, that's what they're going to do with this, quote, aid. We need to cut off all foreign aid to all countries until we get our own house in order here.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Moving on here. No World War III. We're against World War III. We're against all violence here. Moving on here to Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin crashed. The Mt. Gox exchange crashed last week. And so some things from the Business Insider about Bitcoin. It's a cryptocurrency. And so after that, number one thing, are Bitcoins worthless? Well, no, they're not. They haven't lost all their value, but they've lost about 60% of their value. And so next question people ask about Bitcoin, is Bitcoin illegal? Well, it is legal, and we know that reported on the show a couple weeks back that California state legislature has voted on it being legal, but it's legally federally. In March of 2013, the United States Financial Crimes Enforcement Network issued a set of guidelines on virtual currency. So they're trying to find a way to tax it right now, is what it looks like. And is Bitcoin untraceable? We know that's not true. We know everything on the internet is traceable, and NSA will hack any of your encryption if you give them enough time.
Yeah.
And so Bitcoin has never been so versatile as it has been lately, or sorry, volatile, because we see these drastic swings in the market, and a lot of it's caused due to this recent crash. But we see that from June 2011, when Bitcoin rose 40-fold from 75 cents to $30, it stabilized around $5 in early 2012. So you see right there a $25 swing. That's heavy volatility in the marketplace. And so it's a very high risk investment at this point. So on this show, we don't promote it, but you need to educate yourself about cryptocurrencies, and about Aurora Coin, for instance, is one. But take a look at Bitcoin, because that is the wave of the future. And so, Stuart, do you have anything about Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies that are seeming to come onto the mainstream now?
I think that, Bitcoin is virtual currency in general is the future. We're seeing how everything's going right now. We already have online banking, so we are going to deal with digital currency. And so my suggestion is, if you have to, invest in a way that you feel is smart, but ultimately your main investment needs to be something tangible, or knowledge, or skills, because we're still going to operate, even though we're in a depression. We could be in a depression for 10 years, and in 10 years, the dollar will probably be virtually gone, and we could have a virtual currency that you'll still probably have to use. You probably will. But like G.I. Jim was saying, we did an interview with G.I. Jim. He said, even just buying ammo right now is an investment, because the dollar's inflating so much that buying something tangible that has value, high value already, and ammo's already expensive, that who knows in 5 years what that's going to be worth. And that's something that you can barter with, something that has tangible physical value. And he was saying that he, bought some ammo before the Sandy Hook incident, and his investment, he grew his investment 1,000% in 6 months. But he still has it. He didn't sell it because it's still tangible, and it still adds to his value. So I think people need to be aware of the cryptocurrency and the digital currency, because that is where we're headed. We are headed digital. So learn how to, use it in a way that is feasible and get familiar with it, but always stick with tangible as a backup for sure. Gold, silver.
Yeah, it's a risky market out there when you're playing with the Bitcoin, so just be aware of the massive volatility in it. And the other thing is we don't know who actually, where it actually came from. And so that's some things to keep in mind when you're out there investing in the digital currency world.